Let's talk about strengths and weaknesses. Okay, you might get a question like, tell me about your strengths. What are your strengths? Or a question like, tell me your weaknesses. What are your weaknesses? Let's go with strengths first. Let's talk about the strengths. It's very important here that you avoid sounding arrogant. Okay, humility is the best recipe for a good interview, and there is a fine line between being confident and being just outright arrogant. You don't want arrogance in any part of your interview. This is something that you really need to watch out for. But there are two parts to this. I get students who are very shy and maybe too humble, who have a very hard time talking well about themselves. And I also have students who are actually pretty good at this, almost a little bit too good. Let's say you're not as good about being confident, and I have some exercises for you in another video on how to really improve your confidence. But in this sense, you want to talk about key strengths that have made an impact. And each of your strengths should and must have proof. What kind of proof, Matt? The type of proof, what I mean is to have an example. Have an example of when you actually demonstrated this strength. Because they might ask you, well, what do you mean by you're a great communicator? You have to have some sort of an example to be able to back that strength up. That's extremely important in the sense that you're not just blowing steam. You actually have something to back up. This is something that in my most recent professional evaluation, my supervisor has actually mentioned that this is indeed a strength. What kind of strengths are great? You got, you're a team player, you're collaborative, but don't just stick with those words. There are other words that you can. Here's the okay. Let me give you a tip here on how to answer, how to not answer generically, which is the biggest problem for many of these interviewers. They listen to different interviews, and they get very similar answers, generic answers. Take your strengths, take the word of your strength, be able to describe it, but take that word, throw it on the internet, on a thesaurus engine, and look it up. For example, team player, collaborative. I work well with others. I collaborate well. I participate. Unite. I'm somebody who likes to unify people. I contribute. I enjoy. I'm great at developing relationships with. See, I'm saying the same exact thing, but just not saying I'm a team player. Okay, these are key words, trigger words that say the same thing without actually being generic. So get your thesaurus out. Go online, check out the thesaurus, and get these words. And you want to use these words. Okay, I'm a great leader. Okay, leader is such a broad term. There's so much more. Like, how do I want to improve my leadership skills? Do you want to improve your decision-making skills at critical moments? Do you want to improve your motivational skills? Do you want to improve your ability to prioritize or to facilitate things? Are you a good moderator? Are you an inclusive leader? Are you somebody who includes people? Is that what you want to try to do? Other words, manage, teach, direct, delegate, to recruit, to advise, instruct, counsel, coordinate, arbitrate, or influence. I want to be an influential leader, or I am an influential leader, but have an example. How well do you lead? How well do you influence somebody? Has there been a time where this is proven? Are you good at influencing people? Then tell me, give me an example. Sometimes interviewers will catch on to this and they'll ask you, well, do you have an example of when you were an influential leader? Do you have an example of when you were a very participative team player? Why don't you explain a time when you really united a group of people who are different from yourself? What other strengths are there? Well, I'm a fast-paced type of person. I'm very determined. Okay, look that up. I can prioritize well. I can expedite well. I'm great at organization. I can multitask. I'm very good at transitioning in any dynamic environment. I have an example for that. I'm a good communicator. I'm great at presenting. I'm great at speaking. I hope I'm doing well in this interview because I'm communicating with you. I hope you're getting my points. I hope I'm getting my points across and that you're accepting them as well. I'm great at persuasion or negotiation. I love getting into discussions and being able to clarify or articulate the key points to make sure that everybody, especially the person that I'm speaking with, understands exactly what I'm thinking. But also, communication is a two-way street. I'm a great listener as well. I'm somebody who's driven. I'm determined. I'm great at working independently, but I can also motivate others when we're in a team environment. I have a natural skill of identifying and resolving issues, and I love to volunteer to help others. That's fantastic. Those are great strengths. I'm a very creative person. I love to introduce new ideas or to initiate new solutions to problems. I'm great at implementing new projects or designing them or launching them. I want to be a pioneer in the ideas, to be innovative. Okay, so many words that you can use that shy away, that move away from the generic terms that many students use. Generic terms like I'm collaborative, I'm analytical. Everybody is almost analytical. Almost everybody that apply for an MBA are analytical. Almost everybody. At least in my experience, actually, so far, I think I made out of maybe over 430 some students, I'd say maybe 3 people have not said analytical. That's mainly because a lot of my students are engineers, but still, even those who aren't, even those who, you still go through the GMAT, and you do need to be analytical to do the GMAT. Now, it's not the point of saying analytical, find a different word, but also have backup, have a way to support it. Okay, the underlying question here for what are your strengths is, what are you good at, and can you prove it? Can you prove it? All right. So keep it within 2 or 3 strengths. What you want to avoid is coming off as someone who knows it all. If you're applying for Harvard, for example, they have the case study method. It's entirely case study based method, and you don't want to go off, being like, oh, you know what? I've already done the case study, and I'm pretty good at it. I think I would do well against the other students in this method. No, that does sound a little bit pretentious. And 2, you haven't done your research on Harvard. Okay, Harvard wants you to, they're very proud of their baby, which is the case study method. They love it. They live by it. And for you to say that you've done before and that you're going to do well even without ever having done a Harvard case study method, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Better way to say it is something like this. When I made a campus visit at Harvard and I watched the student interaction during the case study method, I was just blown away and in awe. I was just extremely inspired by how you take a collective mindset and to come up with many different roads for solution for a specific case. That's something that I'm very interested in. And I believe that it fits in with not only my strengths of being a good communicator, but also somebody who can facilitate and who can also influence at the same time without being aggressive. Without being overpowering people. That's not the point. I think it's all about coming together as one towards a single goal. That's much better. I'm talking about my strengths and how that's going to contribute and how that has affected me before in my professional life. And I'm not saying, I've done that before, man. Easy. I can do it. Harvard can't hang. Come on. Right? Don't be that person. You're not going to get very far. You're not going to get past your interview, your interview program by doing something like that, by saying something like that. I'm really good at this. Yeah, I've done this before, and man, I'm going to crush it. while I'm at school. I'll be the best student in this area ever. No, be humble about it, but be confident. Yeah, I'm good at this. I have proof. I can explain, give you an example that I've done this before, but that's not the point. I want to learn it, how to do it. I want to learn different ways to do the same thing and learn how to do it better. That's the point for the MBA. Okay, so you can use that as a strength. You can use those as a strength. Think about your strength, throw it in a thesaurus, find different ways to say the same thing so you're not repetitive or generic. Got it? Weaknesses. Okay, now many of my students are always scared of weaknesses. Rightly so, because if you're in a professional interview, you want to be careful about the weaknesses that you say. However, you're not in a professional interview, you are in an MBA interview, which is different. They want to get to know you better. MBAs love students who are self-aware. MBAs love students who are proactive. Meaning what? How do we answer a weakness question? Well, you can come up with a weakness, and I'm sure you have a weakness. Again, if you're going to be arrogant, then you're probably going to say something like, I don't have any weaknesses. Then why do you need an MBA, man? Because if we can't teach you anything new, you don't need us. Because it's just a natural part of the professional evolution, and I need to make a network too. I want to tap into my network and talk if I ever need them in the future for future business proposals. Okay. Good luck with that. No, that's not how you do it. The weakness part is this, learn about yourself, find some weaknesses that the MBA can help you strengthen. Find the weaknesses that you need to improve and to increase your probability for success. Talk about a weakness that really has bugged you. Except time management. That's the one weakness I don't want you to say. If you are a bad manager, if you are bad at managing your time, that's a weakness that you cannot have. Okay, especially for an MBA. I've explained this before, but again, I'll explain it to you now just to drive it into you. Schools, when you get there, the first year of an MBA, most students go through what's called FOMO, F-O-M-O, okay, fear of missing out. So what students tend to do is they try to do as much as possible. Everything that they can get their hands to, they think they can fit into their schedule, they try to do because of fear of missing out. And they tend to bite off more than they can chew. The MBA program, they're always looking for students who do in fact have good time management, because you will be forced to do so while you are there. Okay, if you don't have good time management, then if that is your weakness, I'd say avoid that one weakness. Everything else is in play. Okay. Oh, another weakness. One more weakness that you should never use. Sorry. Is I don't get along well with people. I don't get along well with others. Those are the two things you cannot have. Time, you cannot have as weaknesses. Managing your time well and getting along well with others. Because what have I been saying? What have I been saying so far up until now about the NBA? It's all about interacting with others and the exchange of ideas. And if you don't get along well with people, the MBA is not. You should do like a e-learning. E-learning executive program or something where you can sit on your computer and you can just do it. And that's not that. Even those require some form of socialization. Okay, if you don't get along well, if you don't play along well with others, then you're looking at the wrong programs. All right. So why are people so afraid of weaknesses? And the thing is, they feel that the weaknesses is something the people will judge them on. You're not going to be judged for your weaknesses. Au contraire. The reason why I like weaknesses is because, one, it shows that you are self-aware. Two, it's a gateway for a connection. It's a possible connection, especially with the interviewer. Check this out. If you have a weakness that the interviewer also shared, a weakness that he or she had before his or her MBA, and that MBA helped them overcome that weakness or strengthen that weakness, you immediately create a bond. You say, okay, I'm not good at this, or I need to improve this. The guy or the interviewer in his or her mind is going to be thinking, hey, I had that too. MBA helped me. MBA can help you. See how that works, okay? So how do you answer them then? All right, well, state the weakness, but the underlying question of the weakness is, how do I show my proactivity? What am I doing about it? It's not enough to just say, I'm weak at this. I can't do this. I need to really improve. What can I do? I guess the MBA can help me. Yeah, it will help you with whatever weakness you have. But it's not the one-stop shop solution. It's not a one-stop shop solution there. It's not a one-stop solution. The MBA can't fix all your problems, but what they're looking for is, what have you been doing to fix those? What have you been doing to strengthen those weaknesses? What do you do? Well, one of my weaknesses, I believe, is having a firm business background, being that I came from marketing. I'm a marketing graduate. Well, and what I've been doing actually has been pretty interesting. The last 2 years, I've taken some intensive courses on business. They have been very educational, and the fact that I've been learning so much from those courses have actually been part of the reason why I'm applying for the MBA, and I expect that the MBA will take me even further into the comprehension of business, not only as a whole, but specific parts of it. That's how you want to answer a weakness. Never answer a weakness just by saying it's a weakness and you need to improve. Answer it by stating the weakness and showing how you've been improving. What have you been actively doing? What have you been pursuing to strengthen that weakness, strengthen that gap, and how will the MBA top it off with the icing on the cake? How is it going to make it, presentable? How is it going to make it a strength? How will you turn this weakness into a strength? That's what you want to show in the strengths and weaknesses question. Got it? Got it? I love weaknesses. Don't be afraid of them. Okay? Have a good weakness, and that weakness should have a fundamental role in how you will achieve your success in the future, but also show how you've been addressing it in the last year or two, or ever since you've understood that was your weakness. Cool? All right. So that's it for the strengths and weaknesses. In the next video, in the final video, as far as in the core questions series, I'm going to talk a little bit about follow-up questions that they can ask you during your walk me through your resume answer. Okay, during your career progression answer, there are different questions that they're going to be asking you, and you need to be prepared for those. And I'm going to name off, it'll be a short video, but I'm going to name off a few questions, and then I want you to really think about it. Really think about how you would answer them.